You will be required to determine the products formed in a precipitation reaction. To do this, separate the two ionic compounds that are mixed together into their individual cations and anions. Next, switch partners. The cation of one compound will be placed with the anion of the other compound and vice versa. When you determine the formula of the products, remember to use the charges of the ions to figure out the ratio of cation to anion. Last, look at the solubility chart to assign a phase of AQ, which means soluble or dissolved in water, or S, which means insoluble or forms a solid or precipitate. If both products are soluble or AQ, no reaction has occurred. If a solid product is formed, then a precipitation reaction has occurred, and you may need to balance the equation. Let's look at worked example 5.4. Will a precipitation reaction occur when aqueous solutions of capital C, lowercase d, capital C, lowercase l subscript 2, or cadmium 2 chloride, and parentheses, capital N, capital H subscript 4, end of parentheses, subscript 2, capital S, or ammonium sulfide are mixed? Let's apply our steps. First, let's separate the ions of each compound. Looking at cadmium chloride first, we know that chloride always has a -1 charge. Since cadmium has a variable charge, we will use the fact that there are two chlorides to figure out that cadmium has a +2 charge. Notice that although there are two chloride anions in the cadmium 2 chloride formula, we only use one chloride in this process. We will balance the chloride ions in the last step if a precipitate forms. We then separate ammonium and sulfide. Ammonium has a charge of +1, while sulfide has a charge of -2. Even though there are two ammonium cations in the formula, we will only use one in this step. Next, we switch ions. Cadmium 2 will be placed with sulfide to form cadmium 2 sulfide, and ammonium will be placed with chloride to form ammonium chloride. Each cation and anion has an opposite charge. This means that the formula of each product formed will have a ratio of 1 cation to 1 anion. It doesn't matter which order the products are written in the equation, but the formula of ionic compounds always has the cation written first. The third step is to check the solubility of the products, and if a solid product forms, balance the equation as necessary. Looking at the solubility guide, we see that any compound with ammonium is soluble, or AQ. Although cadmium 2 is not listed, sulfite is. Sulfite is generally insoluble. The listed exceptions are calcium, strontium, barium, and of course the alkali metals and ammonium. Since cadmium 2 is not an exception, cadmium 2 sulfide is insoluble, or S. We assign the phase of parentheses S, end of parentheses, or solid phase for cadmium 2 sulfide, and parentheses AQ, end of parentheses, or dissolved in water for ammonium chloride. Since a precipitate formed, cadmium 2 sulfide, a reaction occurred and we need to balance the chemical equation. The reactant side of the equation has two chloride anions and two ammonium cations. By placing a coefficient of 2 in front of the formula for ammonium chloride, the equation is balanced.